has hiked the prices. And then this will be reflected, okay, in all sort of sectors. And unfortunately, this year, okay, it's not only about the shortage of supply. There is also the price increment in fuels. And as we know, when we import something, they involve a lot of logistical issues, which require a lot of transportational costs. And thus, the price will be hiked further. At the same time, Malaysia also now facing a lot of, okay, we got an issue with labor shortage. This will also hike the price further. And so with also many issues revolving around this, and now Malaysia also having high inflation rate. So all of this actually will affect the price, okay, for a roti canai on your plates at Kedai Mamak. And the price increment is actually very, very shocking. Okay, now we have wheat shortage. And I think the last several weeks, we were shocked by the shortage of chicken. Okay, because of that, we actually produce enough chicken in the country, but suddenly there is shortage. Okay, before to this issue, actually before to the pandemic, actually Malaysia, among all the commodities that have been produced in Malaysia, all right, there's two commodities that's actually been supplied or been produced enough inside the country, which is chicken and pork. However, somehow or rather, suddenly the supply for chicken has been very short and the price hikes, and there's a fighting everywhere. The political leaders coming out with all sort of comments, and now we import chickens. And there's another issue. When we import chicken, will that solve the shortage of chicken in the country? In the long run, actually, some experts think it might kill the industry further, because when you start importing cheaper chicken from outside the country to meet the demands, then the producer or the production inside the country, we cannot cope with it because we have a higher cost of production. So maybe in the long run, we might kill the supply chain of chicken further. And actually, the hike in chicken price arise not from chicken itself. The price of chicken seeds, okay, or the chicks to be raised to become a full-grown chicken, it's not that expensive. Actually, the cost of production for chicken arise from where? From the price of the feed, of the material used to produce chicken feed. And the main ingredient to produce chicken feeds is actually the corn or the maize. And the maize is actually being produced in certain countries, mostly in Western countries, on Latin America. But most of the corn or the maize that we imported or use in our chicken feeds is actually from America. And then they also now having their own crisis. So they try to stop, okay, the export at certain level. Because of that, the price of maize is hiking up. That's high, the price of the chicken feed. So looking here, okay, at the end of it, the roots of the cost is actually concerning plants or crops or commodity, crops, commodity. So now people are thinking, okay, the all-time suggestion. I say it all time because this issue is actually not new. It has been there in our country since the last 40 years or 50 years. All right. If you look back at the records, these issues of supply and demand, the real cost of production, is root from the commodity, the crop commodity that's become the feed for the animal or the livestock. Okay, not only for chicken. Look at the price of our red meat. Okay, the cost of the feed actually comes also from the source of protein, because the source of protein for the livestock feed is actually crops, which is related to pasture. And the all-time suggestion or the all-time conundrums about this, the prices of feed, is what are the alternatives? What are the alternatives for maize or corn? And another ingredient in certain type of livestock feed is what are the alternatives for soybeans? because normally the source of protein in animal feed is maize or soybean. All right, so that's why people are talking about alternative. And here we are talking about alternative. That's why we're talking about future crop. Going toward the future, should we still rely and improve the production? So that's my suggestion. Okay.
Doktor. Slide memang tak bergerak ke?
Not yet. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I hope, because this will be quiz based on the first slide, based on the quotation that I show you. All right. So we need to find an alternative, and that's why these two subjects, exotic crops and agrobiodiversity especially, is being created. Okay. And actually, we have a center. Malaysia used to have a center for Crop for the Future Center. Okay. However, the center has faltered and failed. Of course, there's some political issues, but it's not led by UPN. Because the need to find alternative or what's next in line. Okay. What are the next plants, or what are the new crops to replace the existing main commodity? It's always in question. So previously, we have discussed about the plantation crop commodity. Okay, there's a risk that one day oil palm will be wiped out from the country. There's a risk that one day rubber will be wiped out, but the price is not competitive. So we need to find another alternative for plantation crop. But today, we also need to find alternative for our food crops. Okay. And because of that, okay, we have been screening a lot. And then to approach this, I love an open approach, meaning that, okay, I don't want to produce a fit list for all of you. That's why most of the assignment previously is urging you to go and to dig all the available information, to exhaust the literature, and take a look what are in store for us. Okay, because in the current technology, in the current world, all of you are much better than the classical people like me who have a list from the textbook or reference book. Okay, because everything now is in the internet. And one way of doing it, whatever you have done so far, is actually fall into this category, which is ethnobotany. Okay, the assignments that have been done actually about ethnobotany. Those who have taken basic botany from me before, there is a small chapter about this. Okay, on ethnobotany. All right. So that's why I hope we want to discuss about ethnobotany a little bit. Okay, this afternoon. Okay, so that, okay, and this is also to help you further understand the assignments that have been given to you related to the 50 green exploration of UPN. Okay, so ethnobotany is the study of a region's plant and their practical uses through the traditional knowledge of a local culture and people. Okay, this is the basic of plant studies actually. It starts with ethnobotany. So ethnobotany is about the study about plants and culture. How a culture or people use plant. And it could be in all ways, not only in a scientific ways. When we talk about cultures, we need to dig further down the history or the civilization of human in the classical way of people use plants. Okay, and there's no shortcut to this. We need to get back to our roots, to natures, to history, and to culture. Okay, we need to walk back the path of our ancestors and see what plants they were using. Look back at the kitchen of your grandmothers. There's some herbs that they use in their cooking that made, okay, the meal tastes different than the modern cooking. If you watch the modern cooking shows, you already know about several herbs that they use: onion, garlic, And then some of the popular herbs like the allspices, okay, the bay leaf and so on. But okay, if you look at the traditional cooking process, they include a lot of other type of herbs. And that actually your grandmother's kitchen might be, okay, could be, okay, hiding some of the alternative for us, okay, to move toward the future. So ethnobotany simply means investigating plant use by societies in various parts of the world. All right. And the scope of ethnobotany, okay, could be very big, okay, because ethnobotany, okay, is about people and plants, or culture and plants, okay, and it is in itself an interdisciplinary science, okay, so it includes both sciences and humanities. All right. So in doing this, from time to time, you might think that this is not science, this is more towards social sciences, or this is more like humanities. But please know that, okay, it is an interdisciplinary science. So do not be shocked whenever you encounter or whenever you encompass other field of studies. So for ethnobotany, sometime, and while making your reference, sometimes you need to go over other field like agroforestry, anthropology, archaeology, chemistry, ecology, economics, forestry, horticulture, even linguistics. Some secret of ethnobotany lies, okay, in literature. For example, in the poem, okay, in the poems, okay, or in the short stories, in tale, in legends, in myth. Okay, either it's orally or written, and then in medicines, religious studies even. And in fact, in Malaysia, okay, if you pay close attention to the current adverts about some traditional products of Malaysian, they're always talking about makanan sunnah, they're talking about the fruit from the Quran, or even the fruit from the Bibles. Okay, so this is actually some, okay, reference about plants that can be found, okay, in all sort of religious texts also could be the source for ethnobotanical studies. Sociology, systematics, and so on. Meaning that, okay, on the premise of ethnobotany, you are free to roam around all type of sources on any fields, as long as related to plants. So ethnobotany is a topic or a passport for you, all right, to venture into the world to look at the plants. Or you can say that you want to look at the world through plants by using ethnobotany. All right. So an ethnobotany, the role, why are we doing this? Of course, okay. First is that we need to find the alternative, okay. And by looking for alternative, okay, we need to exhaust all the existing records or literature first. All right. And exhausting this literature doesn't mean in our field only, in other field also. Once we have ample information, or when we exhaust the literature, only then we can find the gaps. Only then we can move forward. Okay, we can make a thorough analysis, okay, of each plant species that existed. Okay. And so, and this is more true since we are in Malaysia. Okay, because in Malaysia, in our multiracial blessed countries, okay, we have several points of views. For example, when we talk about traditional usage of cooking, we have so many types and approaches of cooking. Look at religious studies, okay. Each religion in Malaysia have reference to certain type of plants. If you look at temple, okay, for Indian temple, there will be a certain type of plant to be planted in the temple because they believe that can get rid of evil spirits. Okay, look at the Muslim. There's some plants that they really love, and look at Christians too, and even the Old Testament. They have some plants that they prefer, and that's religious. Look at culturals. If you look at Indian wedding, they will use a banana leaf or they will use mango leaf. Okay, and look at the keamatan in celebration for the Sabahan. All right, they will revere the spirit of paddy. Okay, and for the Muslim also, there's certain type of plant that used in their celebrations or rituals. All right, and look at the Christians. Okay, they always have the Christmas wreath. Okay, so the Christmas wreath also, okay, actually symbolize the crown of Jesus. All right, so they have several type of plants. So with a country, with multiracial country like us, okay, we have several point of view where we can go and see, all right, and explore all the plants that's related to human and to our culture. And by doing so, hopefully, we will stumble upon the germs that is yet to be published or some forgotten plants, okay, that might have the potential of that some plants that have been discriminated before. For example, currently people are talking about cannabis and kratom or kratom. Okay, cannabis and kratom have been discriminated because it's always been associated with negative or social or moral issues. Okay, but I'm hear that some of our friends before they choose kratom for their assignments. Yes, it's a good thing because this plant have been discriminated by the societies, especially in Malaysia. Now you mentioned cannabis or kratom, it's all about bad thing. It's all about addictions. Okay, even the media will show the people of killing their own fathers just because they are dealing with this. But if you look closely, well, find information is okay. I don't want to be biased here. All right. So all of this is possible. Okay, meaning that in our country, okay, we are blessed. Okay, with a lot of point of views, approaches, and openness to explore. All right. So, and I think this is befitting the assignment that you've been doing for the 50 exploration of UPM. You are exploring also, okay, you are exploring UPM and each part of UPM, especially each PTJ, and try to find the plants. Not only the plants that have been listed in the list, I hope you can also explore all the other plants related to that. And then I hope you can dig further the information of each of the plants. Okay, not only through scientific reference, but also by doing a more thorough ethnobotanical search, okay, by looking at all aspects of the plant or aspects of life and how they relate to human. Okay, so this topic, ethnobotany, is one of the two topics that relate to your assignments. Another one is conservation and preservation. So today, all right, I hope, okay, you will make your reference on ethnobotany, and I hope you will conduct your assignments, okay, more according to ethnobotanical research. Okay, do not let any stones left unturned, okay, when finding information about the plants. Because some of you come to me that, oh, this information is not scientific. This is just a baseless claim. This is just a myth. Okay, all of that information are crucial to us. Okay, but you must know how to write it properly. If it's just a claim, write that some people or this tribe claim that this plant can be used to this. It's a matter of how you write it, of how you stated the information. If it's a claim, stated that it's a claim. But that claim itself is something that we want to be recorded. Okay, if you say that there's a myth from my grandmother, down, make it a personal communication. Put the name of your grandmother's there in the list of reference. Okay, that this plant is being used for this before. All right, so that is ethnobotany. Any question about this so far? Is the slide moving or not?
Yes, Doctor. Moving.
Okay, that's good. So any questions about ethnobotany? Are you sleeping already? or are you at the field already?
So good.
Yes, Frazier. Anything you want to ask?
No. So far, so good.
Okay. So how's the progress with the assignment? All of you have completed it?
Which assignment, Doctor?
The 50 green exploration.
Done already, Doctor. The submissions, 31st of May.
It was 31st of May, right? And it was extended till 3rd of June, isn't it? For some
Yes,
people.
Doctor.
So what's next for you? Are you going to get involved with the exhibition or not?
Not sure, Doctor.
Not sure. So I hope the class rep from this agrobiosafety and exotic crop go and discuss, okay, with the director of the program. Okay, if needed, because to showcase whatever you have done and found information, it's also good if you all can get involved in the exhibition later on 60th of June at the halls, okay, so that we can showcase what has been done. And I think no one is befitting to talk about the plant or that place that has been recorded, except from you, because you are the one who have visited the place in real, okay, and create a story about it. And I think you are the best representative to talk about that particular species of plants or that place. So I hope class rep Mio go and discuss with the class director on how can our class could get involved with the exhibitions. Okay. All right. That is for. So can I proceed with one more chapter, or are you all of you are sleepy already and want to get out already? Okay. So let's have a short. Okay, I will go brief on another chapter, which is on this. Can you see the slide, guys?
Yes, Doctor.
All right. So before we are okay, we discuss about the okay, the ethnobotany. All right, and then we talk about Malaysia specifically, that and how we are blessed. Okay, our country is a blessed place to conduct ethnobotanical research. Okay, but other things that relate to ethnobotany and also to our topics, our subject in general is about the center of origin. I believe in your assignment, we have some column that you need to fill, right? The distributions of plants. Okay, it might look a small column for you to fill, the center of origin. No, distribution. And you can find this information easily in the internet, especially when you just type in and you can look at the Wikipedia. But is it the right one? Okay, is it correct or not? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. But is it the right one? Okay, is it correct? The distribution and the locality of it? So I hope, okay, after this topic, you can really or properly check and understand, okay, how to write or how to check or how to make reference regarding the distribution of a particular species of plants. So, center of diversity or center of origin. When we talk about diversity in the world, almost all places have their own ecosystem, ecology, and diversity. All right, each places, they have their own specialty, they have their own characteristic. Okay. So, and to approach the concept of center of diversity or locations or distributions of a particular plant, okay, we can approach it via different approaches. Okay, the first one is that in general, we can consider the diversity of the earth could be divided into three categories, which is the primary centers of diversity, secondary centers of diversity, and the micro center. What are the primary centers of diversity? Okay, they are regions of vast genetic diversity, okay, meaning that in general they have a vast genetic diversity. Okay, and they are the original homes of the plant, which are generally uncultivated areas, meaning that, okay, whenever we talk about the primary centers of diversity, that place must exist. In that place, all right, the wild relative of the crops that we use currently must be existed, okay, must thrive naturally. For example, we're talking about rice, okay, one of the world's staple food. But where is the ancestors of rice? Where can we find the ancestors of rice in the wild that grow naturally in the wild? So if we locate that place, and that is the center of diversity for rice. Okay, and in certain places of the world, all right, there exists, okay, the wild ancestors of most of our food. And these are what we call the primary centers of diversity. You must remember, if I send all of you back to the time machine, back to 100 years back in time, and if you went and visit the market at that time, not only 100 years, I think 70 years is enough. If I send you to the markets, I can assure you that you won't recognize any of the food or any of the produce, any of the vegetables available in the market at that time. Because in the last 70 to 100 years, okay, we have changed the morphology, the characteristic, all the foods that we have now. The old ancestors of all the vegetables that known today look totally different. Look at potatoes, for example. The potatoes that you know today for French fries, known all over the world. Okay, if you look at the potato, the form, the shape of the potato, the morphology of the potato, the colors of the skin, the colors of the flesh, all right, the shapes of the potatoes. Okay, these potatoes or these shapes, non-existent 100 years ago. Potato, the ancestor of potatoes is just a very small cube-like shapes, tubers. And it comes in many colors, okay? We got purple potatoes, we got orange potatoes, but after selection, a careful selection and filtration, we select, okay? Scientists select several varieties of potatoes and further enhance the varieties, okay, to become cultivated or cultivars, and then spread all over the world. The same goes with rice, okay? There's thousands of wild rice ancestors out there, but scientists have selected some of it, and then they established a world research center in Philippines. We call it IRI, and then they focus on certain varieties and produce the rice that we have now in the world. Okay, so the characteristic of primary center of diversity, not only they have wide genetic diversity, large number of dominant genes, and mostly have wild characters, exhibit less crossing over, and at that place normally natural selection operates. As for secondary centers of diversity, they have lesser genetic diversity than primary center, and they have large number of recessive genes. I hope you still remember your plant breeding subject or courses. Can you hear it? Are you okay, guys?
Okay.
Ada.
Ada ya? Okay.
Ada.
And then the rest is almost the same, but what's important characters between different between primary, okay, and secondary center of diversity is that the dominant and recessive genes. And the third one is the microcenters. Microcenters meaning that a smaller center within the centers of diversity. And they have tremendous genetic diversity. And then the rate of natural evolution is faster than larger areas. Normally, when we talk about evolution, okay, you will see it more vigorous in a smaller center of diversity, okay, compared to the larger area. So this is what we call the microcenters. And normally, whenever we want to do crop evolution study, we will focus on the microcenters of diversity. Right. That is in general the most general way of categorizing center of diversity: primary, secondary, and microcenters. However, all right, there are also several other approaches out there. Okay, and one of the prominent one is from Vavilov. Okay, I'm sure some of you who love to read have come across the Vavilov concepts. The most popular quote is about the Vavilov dog experiments. Okay, please read about Nikolai Ivanovich Vavilov. Okay, and most of the time nowadays, if you are a social media generation, I'm sure you will come across Vavilov name, but he is being quoted in a different ways about more onto psychological studies, okay, or behavior. But he's actually, okay, closely related, okay, to diversity. Okay, so behind this rather simplistic title, okay, there's number of problems. In Vavilov's paper, hopefully you can find Vavilov's paper, or maybe you can read Vavilov concept from J.G. Hawkes' articles. Find these articles by J.G. Hawkes and please read it. All right. Inside that paper, he discussed about center of diversity or categorical classification of diversity through Vavilov and also Darwin itself. Okay, and several other prominent scientists. All right. So there's two names here today from this slide. I hope as I take home, find J.G. Hawkes and then read about Vavilov's and Darwin concept of diversity. Okay. And from that actually, from that paper, you will come across this centers of origin. This is the second approach that I told you. There's several other approach or category about the center of origin or center of diversity. Okay, and from Vavilov's paper or concept, he call it centers of origin. Okay, directly called center of origin, not only center of diversity. So according to Vavilov, there's around 8 centers of origin in the world. The first one is China, the second one is India, okay, and Indochina. The third one is Central Asia, consists of north of India, Afghanistan, and Turkmenistan. And the fourth is the Near East, and the fifth one is the Mediterranean Sea, the coastal and adjacent regions. Number 6 is Ethiopia. Number 7 is southern Mexico and Middle America. Number 8 is the northeastern South America, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru. And number 8 also the isle of Chile. Okay. So these are the center of origin according to Vavilov. Okay. Please take note properly on this dot on the world map. Okay. As a botanist, these are among the places that you should yearn to visit at least once. But of course, some of the places actually inaccessible by normal ways. And numerous scientists have lost their life in these places while discovering the nature, while exploring the wonders of the world. Okay. And this picture shows the centers of cultivated plants according to Vavilov. All right. So you read this paper, and at each center, they have listed, okay, some of the what we call native plants of that particular center of origin. Meaning that if you want to trace the ancestor of certain crops that we have now in our market or on our table, okay, if you want to know where does this particular crops or this particular plants come from, okay, we can refer to Vavilov's art papers. All right. For example, the Chinese center. Okay. According to Vavilov, 138 distinct species. Okay. Probably the earlier and most important was cereal, buckwheats, and legumes. So most legumes, buckwheats, and cereals that we have now, okay, around 138 species of them actually come from the center of China. Even though cereal were widespread worldwide nowadays. Even we in Malaysia eat cereal. Some of you eat Cocoa Crunch in the morning, Honey Star, you eat the Nestums, oatmeals, okay? But 100 years ago, okay, cereals only existed in certain places of the world. Okay, and if you want to meet the ancestors of these cereals, then the Chinese center is one of the places that you should visit. And you can see how actually the cereal plants, okay, looks like originally before they were tempered through breeding program, before we cross them, okay, before we change their forms. So in this list, okay, so we have listed this. For example, we have corn everywhere. Okay, even in Malaysia, we planted maize and corn. Where does it come from? Normally, actually, they come from the South American and Central American center. All right. So there's a long list of plants out there. So I hope you really go and try to find the papers and go through it, because this information might pop out in your examinations. All right. And moving forward, because that paper was really old, that's the thing about botany. Okay. Some information, some reference were very old. The Vavilov's paper was conceptualized in 1930s. And now new developments is coming up with new technology because we have new tools in our field. And because of that, in recent years, we start to incorporate, all right, DNA or molecular technologies in our studies. Meaning that aside from physically and manually visit each of the place and describe them in terms of their morphology and anatomy, nowadays we also do the tracing of origin using the molecular technology or the DNAs. So meaning that starting from Darwin and Vavilov's concept, now there's some new papers or new journals, articles coming up. After they infuse some of the DNA information, they start to rearrange some plants, okay, to their other place of origins. Okay, and this work started mostly in the 1970s, especially by Jack Harlan. Please find this. Okay, so that is the current developments about the center of origin. And nowadays, some people, okay, they try to rearrange the geographic origins of the crops. Okay, and this is one of the way. Okay, in the current studies, they use region. For example, the Near East, Africa, China, Southeast Asia, Mesoamerica, North America, and South America. But why do we need to study the previous one while we have the current one? Because there are still some anomalies or still some incomplete information because the DNA extraction or the molecular technology is yet to screen all the crops that's been identified before. So that's why we need to overlap this, okay? The classical information and then the current works. So we need to overlap them because some information actually, there's some discrepancies between them. So as a botanist, you need to know how to play around with both information. So if there is an essay question about a center of origin, a certain crop, okay, if they are ambiguous, you must quote from both sources, the current one and the classical text. All right. So that is about it. So the core of this is about the center of origin. Okay. That's actually talking about where we can find the ancestors of certain species. All right. Okay, that is about center of origins. And the third concept that also being used by certain scientists is the biomes and ecoregions. Okay. So biome is actually a major regional terrestrial community. It's talking about the regional. Some people are talking about centers that crossing the borders of countries. But some scientists, they prefer to look at the distributions of the natural world through the concept of biomes and ecoregions. So these are the biomes. Okay. The concept of biomes. So in the world, some people, they love to look at the biodiversity through the point of view of the biomes. For example, the tundra, coniferous forest, temperate forest, temperate grassland. They look at they categorize the diversity or the center of diversity, okay, through their topographical characteristic. All right. So each of these have their own explanation, like the tundra, okay, and so on, the coniferous forest, and so on. So that is the biomes and ecoregions. Okay, the biomes concept. As for ecoregions, okay, this is normally currently being used by the National Geographic teams in their documentary, because some scientists are actually working to document it, okay, some of the center of diversity, and they prefer to use what we call the ecoregions of the world. And currently, okay, there's around 867 ecoregions, okay, and they were distinguished by shared ecological features, climate, plants, and animal communities. Okay, so they're based on the ecology of a specific places. And then the agroecology or ecoregion, or is actually an acronym for agroecological zones. These were adapted by International Center for two purposes: to define target breeding environments. Note the word breeding. Okay, normally ecoregion is used specifically for breeders. Okay, let's say you want to improve certain varieties, you want to breed a certain species. Okay, you will choose the ecoregions. Okay, maybe there's some characters that you want. Okay, maybe you yourself want to improve your breeding capabilities. Maybe you want to produce a next better generation of Malaysian. Maybe we should send all of you to different parts of the ecoregions, so that the next generation of Malaysia will bring in new pool of genetics materials. All right. So, and also for strategic introduction of germplasm. Okay, and let's say we want to export the Malaysian genes throughout the world. Okay, we should export our genes to these ecoregions. Once we introduce our genes there, and then they will adapt it naturally, because this is a naturally good breeding environment, okay, for the natural species. All right, and then there's several concepts for agroecology. Okay, agroecological zones. Please explore on agroecological zones too. And normally, when we talk about centers of origin, center of diversity, agroecological zone, or biomes, okay, several characteristics always comes into play. Okay, not only the vegetation, not only the topography, the type of soil, but also other factors like the carbon dioxide levels, oxygen level. You might say that, oh, will you learn in school that our hemisphere consists of certain percentage of cases? But that's in general. But actually, in certain part of the world, okay, the concentration or the composition of the gases is actually different. Okay, some places have a denser percentage of a certain type of gases. All right, and the light density, the water quality, the nutrients, okay, the proper temperature and proper pH. And as for the nutrients, I hope you have taken and mastered your soil science basic, because as we know, okay, all over the world, there are different soil type. Okay, we got oxy soil, we got alti soil, we got so many type of soil. Okay, like Malaysia, we have a very old soil. Okay, because this type of soil actually will give us clue about the availability of the nutrients. Okay, the naturally, meaning that without any pesticide, without any fertilizers, what are the natural constituents of the nutrient of that particular type of soil? Because soil category that you learn or soil order that you learn in soil science actually will give you clue. Because the soil order actually about the age of the soil. Is it an old soil or a young soil? Okay, so these factors actually being looked at when they are talking about centers of origin, center of diversity, biomes or ecoregions. Aside from that, okay, they will also focus on those processes conducted by the species at that particular place. For plants, of course, you need to look at the photosynthesis, respiration, and transpiration, which is the physiological characters or physiological parameters. And I hope you have mastered also and have taken the physiology subject. Okay. All right. So based on that, okay, so you need to relate, you need to revise back your physiology, your soil science, and based on that, only then you can easily, okay, formulate your thoughts on crop adaptation, on how, why does certain species thrive in certain ecoregion. Okay, and why some species doesn't exist there. Of course, there is physical barrier, but at the same time, it's not only physical barrier, but the environmental barrier. Because environmental barrier, okay, environmental, okay, parameters will determine the adaptation ability of a species. All right. So this is how, okay, some of the processes are being affected by, okay, the location they are found. Okay, so these are some of the major concepts, okay, that will most likely pop up. I put it in the slide so that you won't miss, okay, you won't neglect whenever you found this concept, because it's the key concept that you need to know whenever you try to explore or investigate the concept of ecoregions, biomes, and centers of diversity. Okay, so I think that is about the center of origins topic. It's not much, isn't it? Okay, and I know I talk quite fast, but you are in an advanced class, and yeah, I think you get ample time to take, okay, to make your own research about this. So any question, everyone? All right, guys, please open your camera so that our class rep can snap our picture while we are having a Q&A sessions, if you want to. Frazier, anything you want to ask?
No, that so far, no.
So far, no. So short, yes. Yuki, where are you? In China or in Malaysia?
I'm still in China now.
Oh, when will you be coming?
Because the flight of Shanghai is closed. The COVID situation is very serious.
Oh, the border is this close. But we need to have a party at the end of the semesters. If all of you are not here, then how are we going to have the party?
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Cheng Ching Ching, you're Malaysia, right?
No. Oh, I'm English, but
You are in Malaysia. Okay, that's good. Okay. So any question from everyone? Afika, who are you with? You are sharing the cameras.
I'm with Azimah, Doctor.
Azima? Is there Azima MPK or K13? No?
Oh, Doctor, no.
Oh, different Azima.
We
Okay.
are at the same room because I got a problem connection.
Okay, all right. So any question you want to ask, don't worry about the quiz 1 and 2. Okay, don't worry about the assignments. Okay, I'm sure you think that, oh, we missed the quiz 1 or where's the quiz 2. Don't worry too much about that. Okay, what's important is that you explore first. Okay, about this topic. Make sure you explore whatever the slide is, just a guidance. Remember, do not memorize the slide, it's useless. Okay, they are just a guideline, and I will put it. I'm sure some of you will keep asking about the slide. Okay, I will give it to you. All right, no worries. Okay, all right. Can you all turn on your cameras? Okay, class rep, can you snap the picture? Give us a number account.
Okay, Doctor.
All right. Where are you, Mio? I didn't see you.
In college.
Oh, that Shukran Razaman. Is that you, Mio?
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, you should put Mio in front of your name because I recognize you by the name Mio. All right. Sofita, are you in campus or are you in Tumpat? College. All right. Okay. All right, Mio, give us a count so that I can make my best post for you.
Doctor. Balkis, Nuriliana, Mayani, Ifasha, and Nusazana. Can you open your camera?
They're probably sleeping already.
Okay. I will make a countdown. Okay.
All right.
Okay. First picture. Ready. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Second picture. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Last picture. Freestyle. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
All right, guys. I think that's all for today. Mio, please share the recording to exotic classes. Okay. If there's any question, just shoot it up in the group. Do not be shy. Do not hesitate to ask everything and so like that. Okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you for tuning in. Okay. So have a good day. Stay safe and don't forget to enjoy your life. All right. So class dismissed.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you,
Doctor.
All right.
Thank you, Doctor.
Choka.